Yo, AKAPAD, Wildstorm Wednesday is here on the Thursday. We're talking about the sale of Jim Lee's Wildstorm Productions to DC Comics in 1999. Let's go. And we're back. Okay, so if you guys noticed, we kind of have a new intro. We also are using the Wildstorm, as I call it, a buffer. The last two Wildstorm episodes did not have a buffer, and the reason for this... Oh, Peter A. DeLuca here, by the way, aka Pad69, and always known through Philadelphia and the multiverse, the eclectic one, because I'm very eclectic, guys. News, views, reviews, live streams, we're hanging out, we're doing a lot of things here. But the day job, 9 to 5, IT consultant, professional. That's right, guys. I'm not even involved in the world of comics. I don't intend to, which I think confuses a lot of you people out there. I don't even care too much about my professional illustration career. My goal in life is just to become the absolute best whatever I'm doing at. Period. I know that confuses some of you. You guys are like, well, you're criticizing this, but where's that? And I'm like, well, it just doesn't matter. Anyway, Wildstorm Productions, Jim Lee. This video kind of somewhat links to me backing out of the Wildstorm community. Mostly on Facebook. The Wildstorm community is dead on Twitter. If it's not thriving on Twitter, that means it's dead on every single other social media platform. But there's a little bit of a Facebook contingent. And here's the thing. A lot of these people they're just cheerleaders, period. And that's bad, okay? You can't just only be a cheerleader and not contribute or not view the bad with the good. And here's the thing. If you study something long enough, like I have with Wildstorm Productions, I'm a near expert on everything that they put out. And I have opinions and I have thoughts. But if you're not cheerleading, you're bad. So, that's me backing out of the Wildstorm Facebook group. And which is kind of funny because I'm like one of only 3 or 4 people on planet Earth that produce regular Wildstorm content, documenting as much as I can with this company. And that kind of leads us to this. Wizard Magazine, 1999. This is such a ironic cover. This, as of right now, might be my favorite transitional cover / issue of Wizard Magazine. I got this for $1 American. And I freaked out because, I didn't think about it until I saw it. But see, right here. DC buys, right there. DC buys. So DC buys Wildstorm in 1998. The final transfer happens in January 1999. We have 2 pages. We're going to go into them. It's not very newsworthy, but it's more of a stamp of the time. And this really is the death of what we will call the Wildstorm proper, or the Wildstorm universe. And then, like, Wildstorm more or less transitions into a publishing house only. Cliffhanger, ABC Comics, Homage Comics, I might be forgetting one there, and a ton of licensing. They really became, for a good stretch, the premier licensing house in the comic book industry. But the reason why this cover is so interesting, because we have Jim Lee basically selling everything to a major competitor, but then we have Todd McFarlane's, so people forget this, Todd McFarlane's Kiss Psycho Circus comic book. And this is Todd's greatest publishing effort, period. It's better, it's bigger, it's more even entertaining than Spawn. Even during the time, if you put Kiss and Spawn 1-to-1, month to month, Kiss would beat Spawn. And it's just so ironic because this is, look, Spawn is Spawn. Spawn's like, great, fantastic, people love it. Not taking anything away from Spawn, but everything else kind of fails when it comes to Todd McFarlane's publishing. It fails. It just, like The Crow, Cygor, the list goes on and on. But Kiss is his greatest publishing venture ever. And we get kind of like Jim Lee, who got the hang of publishing and what running the company and what being a president or EIC. He got the hang of that, you know, and you can kind of say it was providence, like he was destined to do it. We still don't know. We still don't know what Todd McFarlane's true intentions were post-Spawn, but we get shades of it with Kiss Psycho Circus, and this is a series that the entire comic book community, the comic book world, forgot about, went down the memory hole, and moved on from. And they really even forget the fantastic artwork of Angel Medina, who is hardcore, who also becomes the second greatest Spawn artist next to Greg Capullo. That's right, I put Todd as number 3 for great Spawn artist. Sorry guys, you know, consistency count. Okay, I mean, you just have more to go off of with that. So guys, let's hit the drawing table. We're going to do a quick walkthrough of the sale of Wildstorm and the true fall. At this point in Image Comics, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, and then Image is basically, at this point, Mark Silvestri and Todd McFarlane. And Mark Silvestri's Top Cow Productions was the premier publishing house of Image Comics at this time, with Witchblade, Darkness, you know, like just really cool, great looking stuff. I feel bad just saying Witchblade and Darkness because those are your low hanging fruits. But anyway, guys, let's hit that drawing table. Wildstorm Wednesday, rock and roll. And here we go, my AKA Padders, AKA Paddy Pads. Got Wizard. I didn't even tell you guys what issue this was. What? It's actually, wow, it's cover 3 of 3. I didn't realize that. Issue 87, November 1999. DC buys Jim Lee. Guys, that's why I was pointing this out to you earlier. It's not DC buys Wildstorm. DC buys Jim Lee. And that might be a like a design and editorial decision where you know, like we kind of want a block here. Wildstorm might have been a little bit too long. Details inside. Guys, I'm still working on my Transformers movie sketchbook. We're doing every single just about every single major scene from the movie. God bless Michael Bay. Let's get that off. Alright, so my idea here is just to maybe we can just highlight the questions and answers. And we're not going to penetrate, that's what she said. We're not going to penetrate the rest of this issue. Okay, we're just DC buys Wildstorm. Jim Lee is DC exclusive. Deal takes effect January 1st. Cheers to all you, by the way. I'm doing no cream in my coffee because, well, we're trying to slice and dice things up when it comes to the body fat percentage. Okay, let's just cut right to it. Why the sale? Sources cite a weak market and DC's stability. One Wildstorm insider indicated that the most profitable areas for Wildstorm's future look to be toys, video games, or internet business, not comics. Think about that. What does Wildstorm gain? Two main things. A large corporate structure that sources say offers better print rates, better distribution than DC parent company Time Warner to take care of pitching and developing properties for other mediums such as TV and film. Guys, this is also while Jim Lee did artfully get the Gen 13 comic book series streamlined into a fully animated movie that's pretty effing legit, by the way. That got canned, but that was made, that got like released in Australia only, but that got canned. Moving on. What's DC's advantage? They get to tap into a younger Wildstorm audience and nab hot talents like J. Scott Campbell, Joe Madora, Roberto Ramos. They also get status in a big way by adding the entire Wildstorm line under the DC umbrella. DC easily surpasses Marvel as a sales leader in the industry. Merger and acquisition 101. You absorb the competition, you get some of their customers, you also duplicate your product line. Now, everything we just said here didn't work. Roberto Ramos had a history of drawing with DC. He went to Wildstorm and Cliffhanger for Crimson. Later went back, but Roberto Ramos also later became more of a Spider-Man artist at this time. None of this took effect. What happens to existing Wildstorm staff? Staff members retain their jobs and Wildstorm's office in San Diego. Blah, 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 blah. So I used to have a intro for Wildstorm Wednesdays, because Wildstorm Wednesdays was only live at one time. We have that tour. We used to feature some of it in our intro. Go check it out. Will DC characters be appearing with Wildstorm characters? That's the most significant question of all of this. Not in the foreseeable future. Moving on. How about Cliffhanger and Homage? Wildstorm's 2 creator-owned lines remains just that, creator-owned. We still retain full ownership of characters, Battle Chasers. Joe Madora said, we have complete control regardless of where they're published. And Alan Moore's new American Best Comics line, this is the real screw over. Jim Lee screwed over Image. He really screwed over Alan Moore, though. He should have, I don't know enough to know what the options were, but there had to have been better options. Writer Alan Moore had refused to work for DC for many years, citing contract disputes over Watchmen, V for Vendetta, 2 DC published series he penned mid-80s. But all the indications are that as long as ABC is kept separate, Moore's line will be published plain under this new arrangement. Okay, you know what? Maybe we did a little bit good for Alan Moore, but at the end of the day, Jim Lee engineered Alan Moore, the greatest comic book creator ever, to work for the company he hated the most. Who's running Wildstorm? Lee. Okay, we're done with that. Any change with the current publishing plans? Only minor ones. The planned launches of Wildcats by Scott Lobdell, Travis Charest, America's Best Comics, have been pushed back from December 98 to January 99. New #1 issues aren't going to go. So like this is a good positioning to where a little bit of the excitement is that we're I hate to say it, we're rebooting. Back in 1998 was not even that much of a term. It's overused today. If you use the term reboot, jump off of a building. Me included. Guys, I'll see you later. Where's this leave Image Comics? The real question. Diminish. Wildstorm insiders promise that all Image obligations through December will be fulfilled, but Wildstorm represented a large portion, about 25% of Image's business. Image is much smaller now. Not that it matters much to Image partner Mark Silvestri. A few years ago, it would have mattered more. Silvestri commented, attitude-wise, it doesn't affect us. We're going to continue. See, a few years ago, Silvestri and Top Cow weren't prominent. Now they're there. They have endless success with their titles. They're moving into, again, a little bit of a side betrayal. Because Silvestri does allow his Top Cow characters to cross over with Marvel's, Devil's Reign. Solid crossover, by the way. But anyway, what are the future possibilities? Huge indicators. All right, so we know everything here is just all right, and launch them through the end. A la Heroes Reborn. Wildstorm source said Lee himself has been long rumored to be interested in Batman. And that is the only thing we get from this. Guys, don't betray your friends. Don't betray your identity. Don't always chase the dollar, because no one can say at this point that this was a great move. It really wasn't. I know some of you guys like Hush, ? Moving on. With all of that said, so morning coffee. Good morning, everyone. I'm so sorry, that intro. I always sit down and, I think you do the intros and I'm thinking 3 minutes, 4 minutes max, and they run on for 6-7 minutes sometimes. But that's because when we talk about the history of anything, a lot of times for context, it's like their veins or roots. It's like a crevice within the crevice within the crevice. You have to be responsible and you have to kind of prep people along the way, because not everybody knows what you know, but there are absolutes and there are truths, and this is a little bit of the methodology. And that is my philosophy, is there is black and white, there is truth and untruth. And when it comes to Wildstorm, period, it really is. It doesn't matter what your take is. Jim Lee betrayed every single image founder when he did the Wildstorm sale. Now, at the time, I even remember these rumors back in the day. Rob Liefeld was heavily rumored to be selling Extreme to Marvel or making a similar deal, or Maximum Press, and that never quite came to fruition. In hindsight, we really see how bad some of the business aspects were of Rob Liefeld's houses, we'll call it. We know individuals were involved, we know individuals were investors, and those individuals may have been pricing everything a little bit too high. Jim Lee, because again, it's very hard to dig up the people around Jim Lee, like the actual business people. It's really, and the reason why it's hard, it wasn't controversial. We don't have a lot of names, we don't have a lot of moments and dates, and we can reverse engineer the information and find what there's very little to dig around. But Jim Lee was able to hold a value for Wildstorm Productions and moving it. And in moving it, he did betray the image founders. He betrayed Todd McFarlane. He betrayed everything that those guys left Marvel to create and to do. And you can later argue Eric Larson's run on Aquaman, Wolverine, Mark Silvestri returning to X-Men. These are all equal betrayals. Look. Mark Silvestri's new X-Men work is my favorite of his entire career. Next to his new Batman stuff, which I think is just phenomenal. But no, people, Jim Lee looked out for his own interests. He didn't look out for what Image Comics should become and what they were at the time. And he got into the executive branch of DC Comics, and from that, he completely destroyed DC Comics. These are unpopular opinions. People don't like to say these things, but they're true. Jim Lee destroyed his own company and destroyed DC Comics, and that's one of the reasons why I'm more critical when it comes to Jim Lee bringing the Wildstorm characters back into DC proper. It's such a betrayal. Should never happen. Wildstorm should always exist as a pocket universe, with sometimes some of the characters leaping over characters with enough power sets. And honestly speaking, when was the last time we had new Wildstorm hotness? We're just recycling the stuff, and they're recycling Wildstorm characters into DC proper. And people kind of forget that how much steam was lost at one time with Wildstorm. Just even with sales alone, the quality of some of the Wildstorm comics, some of the Wildstorm Heroes Reborn crossover, those are issues 13 of Heroes Reborn. That crossover supposedly derailed Marvel buying Wildstorm because Marvel saw the product and they're just like, this is bad news. We gotta move on from it, which is weird because they went so hardcore in integrating Malibu into Wildstorm. This is what I mean about a crevice within the crevice. More okay people, AKAPAD here, signing out. I love you guys.